Hello, everybody. We're back. We're gonna start making our videos again. For those of you who wondered where in the hell Mr. 409 go, let me give you a quick recap of the last couple of years. It's been interesting. I had truck stop shops all my life. When I had my shops, and pretty relatively straightforward what we did. Tune-ups and small repairs, this and that. And after being gone for like 15 years or whatever, I decided to come back into the hobby. And a lot of things had changed that I wasn't prepared for. And I learned a little something about myself is that I am not an administrator. I am a bench monkey. We now have somebody to do administrative things for the shop, answer the phone for you guys, and everything that I needed done around here that I couldn't do when it was just me or a part-time helper. You will be seeing a gentleman named Nell Setti. We call him Grizzly Bear. He's been in and out of my life for 40 years, 50, 40, 35, 40 years. One of my best friends on this earth. I lost contact with him for a long time. He's back. We found each other, and my first business partner is now my last business partner, hopefully. We started doing all these big, massive custom radios for you guys that have no schematics, no plans. We built them according to what you guys wanted, and the magic of the internet is a wonderful thing, and it's also a curse. We looked around one day, we had 42 custom radios to build, and it threw us for a loop. Threw me for a loop. We got them all done. It's been almost 2 years. We took in very little work while we were doing that because we had to get that stuff done. Things have changed around here drastically. Unfortunately, and due to some of you guys having to wait a long time for some equipment, we have to learn our limitations even at this age. I can build you the space shuttle, but I can't do all the paperwork and the inventory and answering the phone. Or it's a lot for one person, and did not handle it well. And you guys that watched it happen, no, it did not go well. So I am back. We are caught up. We have a new business partner. We actually have new partners in West Virginia. A lot of things are coming from that. You'll be seeing a new product on the market from Evolution RF. That is a merging of 409 radios and B&C radios in West Virginia. Larry and Chris, they're a couple of really good guys. And some of the last people I found that are as interested and have a genuine love for the hobby that I do. We do not do what we do here to make money or to, as a living. At this point, it's always been a hobby. This is a hobby. My love for this hobby, unfortunately, got me in way over my head for a couple years. This is a new configuration for everything. We are still going to do our birdcage conversion, our birdcage amplifiers. We are still going to do the Super Duty conversions for like we did on our 2000s. If you guys don't know what the Super Duty conversion is, go back in the videos and you'll see it's a very nice addition to something like a 2000. Not only prolongs its life, but makes it a lot more powerful and a lot easier to get along with a radio that in the beginning sounded great, but didn't do a whole lot of power. I've said it many times, everybody loves the sound of a Cobra 2000 until they see it on a watt meter, and then they get their feelings hurt because it doesn't do much. Never mind. We're still going to do Super Duty conversions. We are still building the birdcage line of amplifiers. 3500Z style, 250B style, and we're sticking to about, the biggest one we're probably going to build anymore is about 3 kilowatts of peak. That's four, something like a 4 configuration of 572s or about 250Bs. And we're going to keep doing what we've always done, which is take some of the coolest stuff from the past that is just, it's done. And what you're going to see in the next part of this video is actually our first offering now that we're coming back to the internet part of it. The website hasn't been maintained in a long time. Once again, one person with a lot of skill at the bench. My skills are not administrative. My skills are not. I'm not even really a people person, guys. Those of you who know me know. Yeah, I say what I mean, or I say what I think and what I mean most of the time. And a lot of times it's abrasive to some people. But let's get to, I started what I started, and it beat me up. We made a mistake. We took on too much. I took on too much, and now we've almost caught up with ourselves 2.5 years later. And a lot, some of one guy waited for a radio for 2.5 years. But when he got it, and he called me, the first words out of his mouth were, worth every second away. But still, 2.5 years for radio is kind of a long time. Um, so I'm still going to do what I do. There's going to be some more people involved in the mix. We're getting a new phone number coming up. We had to kill the old phone number. We had to do a lot of things we didn't want to do. So I'm not going to get out of this hobby. Besides my wife and music is the only thing I truly love in my life. So I'm back at it, doing what I do at the bench. Now we have help in all the other arenas. You guys can get your calls answered when you call, because I'm not going to be here with 4 units in front of me and still have to pick up the phone and then order these parts and this, that, and the other. It was too much for one person. And something I've learned is that you never stop learning. I'm 55 years old, and wow, wow is all I can say. I'm still here. We're caught up, and we're getting back in the race. Evolution RF is going to produce 3 items. First is we're going to have a nice line of four pill and 5 pill. One driving for. That's gonna be the only one we make. Nice cruiser boxes. You'll see those with the Evolution RF name on them. You'll also see power supplies that we are now coming out with. We're not making anything less than 100 amps. And these power supplies are nice, going to be nice supplies. Our prototype went out just this week. Full diagnostic center in front, RF protection, huge capacitor bank, sustaining the packs that everybody builds these power supplies with. And unlike everybody else, our brand new products from now on will kill you. You buy a power supply from us, you're going to get a 1-year warranty on the parts and a lifetime warranty on the labor to the original purchaser, the original owner of the unit. Same thing with our pill amps. Same thing with what we're most proud of is going to be coming is our line of radios. We are going to start building radios here, just like I did do the DAAACCK and the old. When we take one and we Frankenstein it, we bring it back brand new. Only difference is these are going to be brand new right off the bat. You will see base stations that we're going to be selling, nice sideband base stations, cover 10, 11, and 12 meters. Nice pieces, support here in America, somebody who speaks proper English and is actually going to serve you. But we're going to be doing it in a manner of quality. The new unit, anything with the Evolution RF name on it, these are all stuff's going to be built brand new. Not what you're used to seeing from me going in the parts pile, taking a bunch of horse shit and turning it back into a horse. I mean, have a lot of fun doing it, but that's not what we're about. My partners in West Virginia, Bear that just came back, we all have kind of the same, we all have the same love for this hobby. I don't care how many cell phones and more gadgets come out. This genre of radio, this genre of communication, is always going to be around. As long as there's ham operators, as long as there's people wanting to communicate in a free way, still, this is the way to do it. And I'm not a doomsday guy. Like all you guys that know me know I'm not a doomsday guy. But let's look at it realistically. All it took was one pissed off hillbilly blowing up his Pinto in front of the AT&T building, and nobody could use their freaking cell phones in the Midwest for a day. And that's just one pissed off hillbilly with a car he could blow up. If stuff really jumps off the bat, them cell phones ain't gonna do y'all no good. They cut the power, you ain't gonna be able to charge that cell phone. Guys like me are gonna grab a radio and hook it up to a battery, hang an antenna off the roof, and we're gonna keep everything going. I believe this hobby needs to stay ingrained in our way of living here. It's been here for as long as electronics have been around, and it all centers around the same thing. It's a basic need for human communication. All you guys are hooked on them cell phones. They just hooked you a little harder by giving you the internet with it. Okay, that's fine. None of that's going to do you any good when you can't use it. And it is a possibility. I'm not saying, oh, we're all going to die. It's a possibility. And never mind, it's a part of our history. Some of the greatest RF devices ever constructed, thought of, and executed were done right here. This stuff you guys are buying from China and all this, don't get me wrong, I'm not goofy that way. I'm not against it. But we always have built the best stuff. And for whatever reasons, a lot of our intellectual properties, I guess you call it, if somebody wants to build a radio and pay their workers 12 grains of rice and a freaking tissue a day, over there, that's fine. But look at the quality of the stuff we're getting. Um, I love Ranger products, but I don't believe that the $29.95 is worth $1,000 by the time you're done converting and doing everything you want to it. A lot of the stuff that we're getting is chintzy. And at first, unfortunately, we've had to find the most reliable chintzy chassis for our radios. They're built, made in America. However, we have to build them with globally sourced components because there's nobody in America with the balls to step up and make a radio here. So we're going to take the best of what we can get our hands on, and we're going to assemble you guys a radio that's worth having. Power supplies and the amp, the mobile amps are, and the birdcage line, that's all available now. You can call Larry at B&C Communications. He is basically our storefront now. Unless it's a repair, we're not going to be selling too much anything out of the shop here anymore. That's what Larry and Chris and them guys down there are for. Somebody who can speak to you with the same enthusiasm about this hobby as I have. I don't like to see the old equipment. This unit you're going to see starting in this next video. It's all part of our history, and sometimes it's not practical to bring some of those units back. So my thing has always been I hate to see them die. So I've learned as much as I can learn to do what I do. And let's take something like this Eagle 500, take 12 glass tubes that you can't buy anymore, hardly, and bring it up to date. Utilize what was there and make it something cool for, we call these rat rods. When you guys get a box like this, we've gone to our enormous pull pile. We pull a transformer, we pull tubes, pull boards, pull tanks, pull cases, and we build you guys something worth having. All the stuff that's been serving us for years and years already. Once again, in 30 years, you're not going to be able to take a Chinese piece of junk base station that you're getting now. You're going to have to gut it and put something current in it because the stuff they're building now don't last. And it's not durable. But once again, unfortunately, we've had to find the best chassis that we can get. It's not made here. I hope I live long enough to see when somebody with enough money and passion for something in our history in this genre step up and say, let's build a radio. Let's build the radio here. In all reality, we are going to be assembling a radio here out of the best components that we can find. And unfortunately, nobody on this block makes it. Nobody in America makes from scratch. Browning, Tram, those guys are gone. Those days are gone. Beer and pizza engineering, it's been gone. I hope it comes back. I hope I live long enough to see it. My main focus is to keep as much of this history in play for the next guys that want to come up. I don't think we're ever going to see it like it was in the 70s and early 80s. Okay, fine. We did what we did. There were no cell phones. Well, now we're competing with everything else. It doesn't have to compete, though. It is what it is. This is a hobby that has been keeping insane people like me sane for a very long time. And my love for this hobby let me get in over my head for the first 2-3 years that we were doing things here. That's just honest. I am the best at what I do. There's very few things in this world I brag about, but I am the best at what I do. I don't know anybody else that does with radios and old junk and brings it back the way we do and make it useful and worth having again. And keeping part of our history in play one way or another. Even if it's just like this Eagle box we're doing, where it's just the case and some of its circuitry is saved. We're going to save as much of it as we can, but it's been here for 40 years the way it is. We'll hope to make it feasible, useful, practical to have it in a collection for another 40 years, even if it's just part of what once was. That is what we do here for the money. We're trying to take history and make more with it, and there's not a lot of people with the love and passion for this hobby left. That a gentleman, one of my mentors, is L.C. Maynard. He had Maycom Communications, Stevensville, Michigan. Man took me under his wing when I was very young. Him and his technician taught me a lot, and I miss L.C. I really do. He had the same fire, love, passion for this that I do. He saw it in me and helped me get to a point where I could get to where I am now. We take what once was and try to make it useful again. And now we're in the genre. We're going to be brand new off the line stuff from our brains with our love and passion for what we're doing. So I hope when this equipment comes out that you guys check it out and hopefully, you know, get you some Evolution RF. We're not. I've always said I'm not in this to play this game. People have been playing this game for 80 years. I want to help change it and keep it here. I want to help change it and make it as close to what it once was as possible. Most of you guys, when you buy a radio, you don't work on it. Something goes wrong with it, you find a guy like me who's willing to get into that little teensy tiny bullshit they're making now and keep it going for you. That needs to change. More of us who have a mic in one hand need to learn how to have a screwdriver in the other and help to maintain what you do. You know, back in the day, you had a Browning Golden Eagle, you lost your receiver, you ripped the freaking top off the receiver and you found which tube was bad, even if that's the best you could do. And if you couldn't fix it, there were 5, 10 guys in your area that could. It's not that way anymore. I believe we need to get back to this hobby as it was way back in the day. Back when you could buy a Heath kit and build your freaking radio. Buy a kit and buy your and build your amplifier. That's one of the things that we do a lot of work on. You know, Heath kit SB220s. This is the most that and Pride DX300s. Two most popular ham amps that ever have been out so far. You can have your Kenwoods, you can have your Icons, you can have all that shit. You ask most people who've been in the hobby for a while, you say Browning or you say Tram or you say Collins, Heathkit, Dentron, Demco. You know what all that's all shit that is from here. Beer and pizza engineering that's still here 40, 50 years later. But guys like me who can keep them going are getting few and far between. Part of this hobby is learning what's going on in the box you're talking about. Being able to at least maintain the equipment you're running. Because guys like me, I'm 55 years old, I might get hit by a bus tomorrow. What are you guys going to do with all these birdcage amps? We need more people in this hobby that do what I do. I tried to do it all and I can't. I've gotten lazy. I didn't even put my teeth in for this video. I'm at a point where you guys aren't watching this because you want to date me. You're watching this because you want to see what comes off my bench. And what comes off my bench 9 times out of 10 is, yeah, it might be made out of 20, 30-year-old stuff out of the parts pile for stuff like this, for our rat rods and our rebuilds, stuff we do to keep, you know, whatever it is that I call myself doing to keep this hobby alive. I'd like to see it. I hope I live long enough as I'm bumping my camera I'm using for my camera, or my phone as I'm using for my camera. I hope I live long enough to see more guys like me with a mic in one hand, a screwdriver, and a soldering iron in the other, who, with as much love and enthusiasm, learn about what they're talking. When I was coming up, we had electronics classes. Today, electronics classes is the equivalent of knowing the software on the phone you bought from Chinky Chinese over there. I got a cell phone, I got tools. They're good for what they're good for. That's a whole nother, you call it another genre of communication. However, whatever. This two-way platform, it's very rudimentary for. I mean, there was a time when what we're doing here was state of the art, and now it's become more passe. We need more people to learn at least some more technical skills. We need to have guys in the hobby who want to do more than key a mic and be the loudest, or key a mic and talk the farthest. What's happening when you key that mic? What's happening when you crack that modulation? You found the modulation screw. Okay, that's cool. What'd you do? Did you make your radio just... Knowing what's going on inside you is part of this hobby. Understanding your equipment is part of this hobby. And we need more people to engage that side of this hobby instead of relying on guys like me and like Mr. 123 who builds pill amps, very nice amps. You got your Doc Nelsons, you got your all these guys who are probably your Dave Maiden and Carl built and Fat. All these guys are people like me who care enough and love what we're doing enough to do what they do, and I do what I do. I've always had to do the best of what I can with what I had to work with. Never had $1 million in my pocket to go start this, that, and the other big shops. Until this internet came along, I put up a website, and they say I'm getting calls from Australia, Canada, Hawaii. I don't mind it, but some of them are in different time zones, and the call comes at 3 in the morning when it's 2 o'clock over there in the afternoon. Learning curves. all I guess this is the point of this video. For all you guys who love what I do, I appreciate it. Thank you. For all of you who are going to come back and watch this channel, I appreciate it. Thank you, because first 2 years were a mess. I am not an administrator. I'm a bench monkey. And I'm proud of that. I'm one of the best bench monkeys you're ever going to see. I ain't too much good at anything else in my life. But I can make these radios sing. I can build a nice amp. I can take junk and bring it back, make it useful again. For guys who want to keep in this hobby and help it grow. It's not going to grow unless more people learn what we're doing. Anybody can buy a piece of equipment, plug it in, and talk on it. Okay, cool. If that's as far as you want to go. We need more people who are willing to crack the lid on it and know what you're looking at and know what you're doing when you crack that lid. We're relying too much on the fact that technology has evolved to a point where you shouldn't have to work on your equipment. Well, no, if you run it right, doesn't matter how far it's evolved, with this 40-year-old, 50-year-old piece of equipment I got here, or that 50-year-old amp that I just rebuilt over there, it's still viable. It's hard for me to just sit back and watch this stuff die. If you're into radios, try to get into the theory of radios. Try to get into the niches and crooks and crannies of what the hobby is. Basic electronics. I mean, there's more technology in some of these, in a lot of these new radios that it took to put a man on the moon. Problem is, 9.5 out of 10 of us got to send that stuff off to somebody who we don't know, we don't like, on another block, another continent, and then hope your stuff comes back right. Or you're relying on the guys here who just have it as a job to repair their warranty stuff. There's a guy in California who does Ranger stuff. He's a great technician. We need guys like that too. We're running out of those guys, basic technicians. I'm not a basic technician. I don't even call myself an engineer. Although what I do is a lot of engineering. I'm not formally educated, but anytime you take A and you want to put it in B, but it wasn't made to go in B, so you figure out how to make it go in B and everything lives and does what it's supposed to do. That's engineering. Anytime you're putting something in a box and it don't fit here, you figure out how to make it fit over here and put it back in the circuit. That's engineering. Okay, if you're one of those guys that like me, is take whatever it is and make it what you want it to be, that's engineering. I am not a formally trained engineer, but I'll put my skills about what I do up against anybody with a screwdriver. You want to build a radio next to me, you better be able to build a radio. You want to modify a radio next to me, you better know how to modify a radio. That cockiness, though, is what got me in trouble for the first 2 years that we had this place open. So, for those of you who were in the path of the train that was the first 2 years of this shop, I hope you come back and experience what we're going to be putting out next. Brand new stuff. Never been a manufacturer of radios. We're going to be manufacturing. We're going to take the best of what we can get, set it up in a box as in a configuration and in a manner that as long as you guys run this stuff the way we say it needs to be ran, if you don't exceed the parameters of what the units are capable of, they're going to last. They're going to outlive you, and they're definitely going to outlive me. So, for not being a good administrator, for not being somebody who can handle and turn around and looks one day and he's got 42 radios to build by himself, for you guys that waited, thank you. For you guys that have been sitting back watching to see if I was going to come back, nah. It's going to take a lot more than 2 years of bad management for me to get out of this hobby. Once again, I've learned some things. I'm learning every day still on what I do. Doc Nelson, God rest his soul, made some pretty, here in Chicago is where he was. Guy made some stuff that was out of his world in a lot of ways. You know, if you every time, and nobody wants to, anybody that can work on that kind of equipment, they don't want to work on Doc's stuff. I made it a point to learn how to work on Doc's stuff. You know, I ended up buying a lot of amps for no other purpose but to reverse autopsy him, see what he did, how he did it, why he did it that way. And once you understand the man's theory, his take, his view on how you should execute a piece of equipment for this guy who you know is not going to run it the way it's supposed to be. You know what he's going to do. Doc was great for building that kind of stuff, for protecting some people from themselves. If you got, here's how you know if you got a Doc Nelson box. There's 50 reset buttons on the front because everything in there's got a reset. Little overkill, but it's what worked for him. And his units, when they work, they kick ass. Learned a lot from Doc Nelson. And I hope someday somebody gets on a video and says they learned a lot from me. Because if somebody don't learn it from me and guys like me, you turn around, guys, and all you're going to be able to do is buy a radio and wait till it dies. It's not what the hobby's about. The hobby's about communication. It's about human interaction. However, what you use to accomplish that goal of communication, whatever, we need more guys to try to learn what's going on inside. We need more guys to be me. That's going to be hard to do. So I'm back and I'm still learning how to run something this size. Never expected this place to get to. This place took off like a rocket, and I was not an astronaut at the time. Still not. But I know where I need to be in the team that puts the astronaut up there. My job is to make this stuff work. My job is to give you, on this custom bench, which is what we're doing tonight, the custom bench is to give you something cool that, only one of a kind. Every piece we build on the rat rod, I call it the rat rod bench. It's the junk, where we take junk and make it something worth having. Everything over here that's one piece. But now we're getting into, we're going to give you guys brand new stuff. That's quality, kick-ass, worth having right off the bat. Radios for people who talk on radios. Radios built by people who talk on radios. Amplifiers who are built by people who talk with amplifiers. Power supplies that are built by people who abuse them as bad as you guys do. There's no big me, little you. We're all the same. I just happen to know a few more tricks than most. Hopefully one day my kids will come around and maybe I could pass this on to my son or so. I got to pass this on to somebody. I got $1 million worth of knowledge here that you can't go buy for $10 million right now. Nobody's teaching it. Nobody knows enough to teach it. Thank the last 40 years of our government giving away our intellectual property. However, some of us are still here. I'm going to do what I can to keep it going. Hopefully, before I croak off, I'm going to find somebody to pass it on to. There'll be another generation of 409s and Doc Nelsons and Bluegill, 123, and all those guys that grab a pile of shit and make it something you guys want to have. Hopefully, there's going to be more of us. I, once again, though, have learned my place is at this bench. And I'm going to keep trying to serve you guys with the best equipment I can come up with the best ideas and craziest stuff I can pull out of my ass on the hot rod bench. But also now we're going to be trying to give you guys something that's worth having. Stood by and make it as much pure and pizza engineering with stuff that we can buy online right now. And, if anybody gets the balls, then make an actual radio here, make the radio chassis here, like Browning did, and tram, and make something here. If that comes up, the first one that does it, if I'm still here doing this, I don't care how, I don't care. We're going to find a way to make that American-made piece go in this American-built radio. So, but right now we're going to give you guys the best we can with what we can get our hands on. And I'm going to assemble it and execute it in a way that radios built for people who talk on radios by people who talk on radios. That's kind of the thing. So, for those of you who got caught in the tornado that was the first 2 years of 409 radios, I hope it didn't run you off. But the bottom line is, I learned, I'm back, and this is not going to be easy. And it's going to be a big learning curve for me. But the bottom line is I still get to sit at my bench. I still get to make people, I still get to give people who enjoy this kind of cool stuff to enjoy. So, once again, for those of you who got caught in the tornado that was the first 2 years of this shop, hope you stick around. Because there's a lot cooler stuff. You guys ain't seen nothing yet. I was gone for 15 years. I'm back. I'm just getting warmed up still. Now that the bad management section, bad management era of this place is over, I can get back to what I love doing, which is sitting at this bench, taking this, that, and the other, and making it this, that, and the other for those who want to hang out and do what we do. So, videos are coming back. Website's getting ready to get maintained. New phone numbers coming up. Brand new equipment to put on the market. And if you blink, you're going to miss it. So anybody who's supported us so far, we thank you. Um, Anybody who we pissed off in the meantime, we're sorry. Hope you come back for something new. And you know what? We're all human. I'm human just like the rest of you guys. Made a lot of mistakes when this place grew beyond my capacities. It's the truth. It's what happened. But one of the few things my mother told me that was true is that when you fuck something up, unfuck it and admit fucking it up to begin with. That's where I'm at. I'm not going to stop working on stuff. I'm not going to stop building stuff out of it. I'm not going to stop trying to sustain this part of our history for as much as I can, as long as I can, in the best manner that I can. The best of the old, I hope to make the best of the new stuff you get your hands on, and still on the hot rod bench, make it out of the best of the old stuff that we still got laying around. Other than that, we're going to get into our brand new units. Nothing out of the parts pile, guys. It's all going to be brand new stuff. And we're going to stand behind it. You guys hopefully are going to get it. You're going to enjoy it. And hopefully there'll be another 100 years of this hobby going on for guys like us and gals like us. I know a girl who's a kick-ass technician. Jeannie, you know what I'm talking about. So, guys, I'm back. Those of you who want to hang out and go for another ride with me, see what happens this time. But we did make sure to try to make sure nobody, we can't help the wait times that happen. I can't help the mismanagement. I can't help none of that. It's over. We're back hopefully with a better plan, with some people who we're going to put in their lane so I can stay in my lane and keep trying to give you guys something that's worth having. So thank you. God bless every one of you. And I hope everybody that was here stays here. I hope we get a lot more people to come in and, oh, wow, you know what? Maybe I should learn some of that. You ain't got to learn from me, but we need some people in this hobby who know what's going on past the display and the microphone you got in your hand. So, thanks. You got a clip. Now, this first one I'm putting up as a clip. We used to do clip. You guys could watch the clip as we went along. And at the end, you wonder, you got to see the finished product. For a while, we're still going to be doing it that way with this camera all crazy, making you dizzy. But we have a plan for a better way of doing our videos. And there'll be a lot more going on around here. So if you're going to go wrong for the second ride in the 409 era, it's going to be wild again. There'll be some stuff coming out that nobody thought was possible. Somebody told me I couldn't put a 3500Z in a DAC 10. There's another lesson learned. I did it. And then we took it apart right after I did it. Because my point was, me being me, I just wanted to, yes, you can do it. Well, okay, just because you can, it's another thing I've learned. Just because you can don't mean you should. And now it's part of my job now is to, when you guys call me with these crazy ideas and say, yeah, maybe not such a good idea. Before we would just try to build it. What you wanted to do this one. You want an arm to come out, wipe your nose? Let's see if I can figure that out. Now we're going to stick to what do you need to do what you need to do. If you're guys just walking into this hobby, my hope and theory and plan is that the very first thing you buy is an Evolution RF radio, an Evolution RF power supply, and an Evolution RF bass amp, or birdcage bass amp. The scope of what's going on is more narrow, but hopefully the quality and service is going to be a lot better. So, once again, for the first 2 years, for those of you who got kind of soured, sorry, but I'm still the best at what I do, and I think I've figured out how to keep doing what I do by bringing in other people who know how to do what they do. So, wish us luck. Watch out for the power supplies and pill boxes that are going to be hitting the market. And keep your ears open for this radio. It's going to be a nice piece because it's going to be a brand new piece from the mind of this idiot. And usually you guys dig that kind of shit. So I'm back. Didn't think I was gone forever, did you? Hang around, watch some videos. Hopefully learn something. We're all going to have a good time. 7-3s. We'll see you. Nice. Try this again. Hello. It's been a while. Those of you who've been wondering where I went, all three of you, I'm back. And this is the first victim in our new series of videos. What we have here is an Eagle 500. Hello, Eagle 500. Kenrick made this amp. And at the time, it was a very, very nice amp. However, this isn't then. Tubes are getting scarce. This one uses 27 LS6s. The unique thing about this amplifier is it doesn't have a filament winding per se. It uses the line voltage and some caps and this, that, and the other to keep the inrush controlled, which didn't do a very good job. You still end up having to put some kind of inrush limiting on it. But the problem is the tubes are getting scarce. And it's a shame to waste such a nice piece. My partner in West Virginia, Larry at B&C Radios, come up with this in a trade or a sale or something. And as you know, it's had a lot of hands in it. It's had a lot of what the guys at the time were calling upgrades. And once you understand, it's a fairly simple amp to work on, but it is temperamental. It always has been. Anytime you're using AC line voltage on filaments, now how did they do that? How did they put 110 volts on 5 tubes? Well, 7 tubes. Well, 5 tubes at 27 volts a pop. These are all series. Okay. That is how they're lighting the filaments up. It's right off the power switch. Bam! It's not going to transformers. Not going to buffers. Not going to nothing. Straight to the powers up the high voltage transformer. Lights up the tubes. A 27 LF6 is the same thing as a 6 LF6. The difference on those kind of tubes are the first letter or the first number is usually your filament voltage. 6 LF6, a lot of you guys are familiar with. 6LQ6, which is a 9-pin octal. This is a 12-pin octal. Sweep tubes, basically. They're getting hard to come by, and they make a lot of heat. They're not very efficient. So we're gonna save this amp, and I don't even know that we're gonna call it an Eagle when we're done. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the 7 glass tubes. We're gonna take all the tubes out of it. I haven't decided what I'm gonna put in the bottom because I know I'm gonna make a piece for the top. This case is really kind of ideal for what we're gonna do with it. Normally when I Frankenstein an amp, we'll take and make a baffling of some sort to go around the tubes that we're going to put in. We are going to replace these with 4CX 250Ks. Now, 250K is the same thing as the 250B. They're an EMAC tube, but it's a coaxial socket. Okay, it's a different kind of socket. They're kind of expensive. We make them. So what we're going to do is we're going to stab 2 of those tubes in here. We're going to use a Collins 30L transformer to light it up. We're going to give it about 1800, 2000 volts on the plate. Not what I like to do with the 2800 volts. We're going to keep this around 2000 volts. This is going to be a real nice cruiser, guys. This is going to be something you can sit there and key down and not have to watch, the air coming out of the side. Is it getting too hot? Is it going to break into oscillation? Because you can't keep these kind of the sweep tube amps with sweep tubes. You can't key them for a very long time. You can't. I mean, you guys do. And that's why you're buying tubes all the time. But they're not very durable as far as how I run an amplifier. I know that you guys ain't no nicer than I am. So we're going to replace these with 2 metal ceramic little guys. And we'll dig some out in the next part of this video and show you what they are. And we're going to have 2 in this section. That's going to be it. But what I'm going to do is, see this nice little box we got going on here? It's solid on the side, solid on the front. There are some gaps on the inside around here. But look where the fan is. It's right almost fitted to this nice little box, which is its own nice little chamber. I'm going to make sure that this is sealed on the top up here, as well as whatever panel we put on the bottom. And we're going to utilize the same kind of fan. This one's kind of loud. We're going to use a DC fan that's a higher speed, but a little bit quieter. And what's going to happen is I'm going to let it pressurize this whole cabin here, this whole area where the finals are. We're going to pressurize this whole thing. And the air is going to come out on this side. So instead of having a traditional squirrel cage fan pressurizing the bottom of the unit, blowing air up, yes, they are a forced air tube. However, we are not using them for what they were designed for. It's a commercial broadcast tube or high-end, ham amplifiers at the time when these tubes were being made. Metal ceramic. These are actual transmitter tubes we're putting in here. The tubes that are in here, for you guys that don't know what sweep tube is, back when TVs had nothing but tubes in them. Every section had a tube for this, tube for that. You had like your 6GH8As controlling your audio. You had a damper tube right next to this. What would be in the TV, it's called a sweep tube. And what it did was it made dirty, nasty, high voltage to plug into what was called the second anode of a picture tube back when TVs had picture tubes. This tube was responsible for making that arc at the right frequency, at the right intensity, and that's what it did in a television. Sat there and just made high voltage, dirty high voltage signal to light up the tube. We are using them in a completely different manner. They work. They've worked well for what we're doing. We're not gonna let this. There's a lot of stuff in here that really don't. Just case don't need to die. It's a nice amp. I haven't decided if we're gonna leave it at Eagle or not because it ain't gonna be nothing like an Eagle when I'm done. But this is what it's gonna be: two Tetrodes, two 250Bs. We are gonna give it the screen and bias so that he's gonna run it low drive. Now you can run these tubes I'm putting in here in a high drive method. It's called a super triode mode, and it's a little bit of dancing, but you can make it where you can hit him with 50 watts. He's not going to be able, or whoever gets this amp is not going to be able to do that. This is going to be more like a Pride DX300 on steroids and no band switch. Okay, we're going to have a pair. This is the same tube that's in a Pride DX300. We're going to put a pair of them in here. We're going to put this Collins transformer in here to run the high voltage and the filaments. And then we're going to utilize this high voltage board. I'm not sure. I need to make the 800 volts that's coming out of this transformer. I got to get it up to at least 1800 volts for the plate of the ceramic tube. We've got a little diode. The way theirs is set up, this is actually a bridge rectifier. It's four double 1,000 volts. It's a pair of 1,000 volt 1 amp diodes. They've taken two of them, and each one of those acts as one, making it a 2 amp diode. And then there's four at each leg. And what they did was both ends of this rectifier go straight to ground. And that's where the two negatives of this bridge meet to complete your rectification. We're going to use these diodes. We're going to lift the ass end of them. Okay. We're going to bring it around, and we're going to combine them all the way across. When we're done, it's going to be some wires underneath. We're basically going to make this a 4-bank, 4-wide rectifier. Now, on a bridge rectifier, that's a whole nother list. Bridge rectifier, a full wave bridge on any transformer, let's go to school. If you have a 10, say you're working with 10 volts, it's just a reference. You have 10, you're working with 10 volts. When you use a bridge rectifier, a full wave bridge, what it does is convert your AC to DC. Now say that 10 volts is 10 amps. 10 volts 10 amps. You still get your full 10 amps through a full wave bridge. However, we need more voltage, and not quite as much amperage as this transformer is capable of putting out. This transformer was made to run 4 572Bs at 250 milliamps to crack on the plates. That's an amp through a full wave bridge. We are going to use two 250Ks, which are 250 milliamps a pop. So we're going to be right at budget for amperage, because when you use a doubler, our 10 volts is going to go 2.8 times. So it's going to be 28, just short of 28 volts. Okay. But that 10 amps in the doubler mode, you lose 5 amps because you've made more voltage. That's when you learn your formulas and figure out how that works. I don't care that we're going to lose some amperage because I need the voltage, and I'm not going to exceed what these tubes are going to draw. This transformer is going to carry a load for this cruiser just fine. This is not going to be a fighting box. This is not going to be something. I'm not intending this to be a driver for something else stupid. This is made to be This is going to be made a nice little cruiser. Guy wants to get out there and his DX is rolling and get his name called. This is. You ain't going to go to channel 11 or channel 6 and get answered too often. But it's going to be a nice little cruiser for daily skip shooting. We are going to utilize its high voltage board with some rewiring. That whole board is going to stay there. We're going to have to add a capacitor to it because a full wave bridge gets tapped in the middle of the cap bank as well as in the center of the rectifier stack. And that's how we're going to take 700 to 800 volts and bring it up to 18, roughly 100 volts. And that's going to give us our high voltage. Not enough to make these tubes fight, but more than enough to make a nice cruiser for daily. You use this as a daily driver. Turn on and leave it. It's going to be clean. It's going to be as clean as whatever you feed it. So that's where we're at. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pressurize this old box right here. It's perfect because, like I say, we're going to take them boards. We're gonna take the bottom board out. That's going bye bye. This whole everything you see here is getting out. See ya. All these air variables are coming off. When we're done, I am gonna keep this stage. I am gonna keep the air variable tuning section for the input tuning, and it's just too easy in this configuration because they've got this wall here already, separating my output chamber from what's going to be my tuned input chamber. I mean, if this wall wasn't here, and I wasn't going to pressurize this, I might move that. But I'm thinking, and I'll know when I fire it up the first time if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking we're going to be able to leave this input tuner right here and just utilize it the way it is. Leave the cap on. All we're going to do is cut the parasitic choke off of it, ground the coax, feed it into that, and it's going to come out, and that is what's going to drive our 250Bs. 250Ks, sorry, 250Ks. Same thing as 250B, but it's going to be the tubes that we have. So this, in theory, and this is the layout in my massive little brain. We're going to use this driver section for input tuning. That's going to keep the SWRs to whatever unit we're driving with. It's going to keep the SWRs to that unit nice and low, as well as pass as much RF to these tubes as we can with minimal parasitic oscillations because you've tuned the input. A lot of these amps, you guys go ahead and just drive the tube straight, and it works. It does. But then go look at the SWR on your radio. It's saying 2.5 for a reason. You've got a 2.5 standing wave. That means you've got reflection back to your radio. We don't want that. This is going to be a nice cruiser. It's going to be nice and clean. We're going to get input tuning. I put input tunings on all my amps, guys, where you can tune them on the front. Done. Kind of like back in the day, DNA had them on the back. That little bitty tiny pain in the ass screws that everybody messed fiddled with. Turn them too much, the amp will start chattering. Turn it the other way, you lose money, you're gone. It had a nice sweet spot. But in that sweet spot, you got a 1.6, 1.4. Instead of 2.9, damn near close to 3. That's a lot of reflection back to your driver, especially when you have a low drive box that's doing as much work as this one's going to be capable of doing. So we're going to keep the input balanced. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to utilize this chamber and everything where it's at. That would make me very, very happy. And if not, I'll have to move it. The cool thing is that I think we're going to redo this one in our signature black wood grain for a couple reasons. Using that paper wrap, whatever you want to call it. That's all this is. It's been on here for 40, 50 years. We're going to redo this in black, and I'm thinking I might use some gold down here because we're going to letter it in gold. And I don't think we're going to keep the name. I think this is just going to be reclassified, rebranded as it's going to be a birdcage one. That's our brand here. It's going to have a lot of my crazy thoughts and tickies in it. So, bottom line is when we're done, we're going to have a black wood grain looking like it does. We will only have one. I'm going to make this an L network. This on your input tuning. There is no load and tune. Okay? You just got to tune. This is an L network. This up here is a pi network. Now, with a pi network, let's start with what confuses a lot of guys. On an L network, you will always see more turns on your tank coil. Okay? I had a guy argue with me. He's in pillboxes, and he's a pretty smart guy for what he does, but he didn't get it. It's like 11 meters should always be 4 turns. No, it depends on the capacitance you have and where the capacitance is in that circuit. Is it an L network? Is it a pi? This is a pi network up here. Pi network on our band is 4 turns. Okay, that's correct. L network on our band is 6, 7 turns. The tank goes to ground at that point. Where up here the tank is floated between your drive and between your load and tune sections. We're gonna get rid of these. Well, no, we're not gonna get rid of these. We're gonna keep that for input tune. We're gonna get rid of these, but now that's gonna leave us a conundrum. We're gonna have holes in the front of the amp. That's what that paper is great for. I'm thinking if I get lucky, this becomes my input tuner. We're gonna delete this hole with the paper, and we're gonna put our tuner, our L network tuner, right here. Now, all that's gonna consist of, I can show you one in the amp we got over here. This is a 23500Z amp that I just rebuilt per guy. What you'll see here, you see at night, you'll see this capacitor, this air variable, and all probably the X300s for the tune. This is what gets you to your band. And this, it's everything. It's all we're doing is, but notice the tank. Not only is it a nice, solid, hollow copper 1/4-inch tubing, hand wound, 7 turns, and then you tap it really close to the ground. If you don't know much about the theory of it, it make you wonder how the hell it is making RF that close to ground. Well, It's still a tuned circuit. It's just not a pi network. Taps way down here on the sixth or seventh winding. That's where you always find this kind of a tuner done. And there's a million different ways to make an L network. This is the most stable. Okay, especially when you get above a kilowatt of peak power, 500 watts RMS, you really want to have an air variable that's stout. There's a guy around, he's gone, God bless him, Doc Nelson, and he did L networks, but you'd see 9, 10 turns on his coil because he would use still, tuners more like this in a 4572B box. Well, he came up with his own little configuration, and it worked. It was it worked. I said, God rest his soul. I've learned a lot from Autopsy and his amps since I came back to this. Um, so that's the L network is what's going to be here. We have 7 turns on a quarter-inch hollow copper tubing, 3-inch stock wound on, 7 turns. Bam. We're gonna mount the tuner right here like so. I'm a little out of practice with this camera, guys. I'm sure this is probably gonna make a lot of people nervous. I can hear George Blockson already. Stable the camera. Hi, George, if you're watching this video. So what we're gonna do is an L network. Keep this L network that's here and make it our input tuner. We're going to utilize the high voltage that's here, and maybe, and no, I'm looking at those relays. I don't know. I'm going to have to load test that relay, see what it's capable of. I might use this relay. I might. However, we are not, sorry. However, we are not going to utilize the preamp. Now, it would be real easy to do that, but I'd have to repair the damn thing first. Here, and I've always said it, and I'm going to say it again, you'll never find a birdcage amp with a preamp in it. This is why. You're taking a device that is meant to amplify this miniature, minuscule, minute piece of RF out there in the middle of nowhere and bring it in. So now we're going to set that very sensitive circuit right next to a kilowatt of peak. It's a bad idea. If you want a preamp, don't get an external. One that's shielded in its own box on a separate power supply. God bless you. That's the way to do it. I don't know. I mean, it's there. I actually haven't checked it yet. If the preamp works, I might just leave it. Bottom line is I'm going to utilize as much of this circuitry as possible. The more I utilize here, the less I got to make over here. As it is, using this cat bank, I'm still not sure we're going to be able to get away. I got to check voltages and whatnot. But either way, cat bank's going to be here. If I got to add caps, I'm going to add them to the circuit that's in there. Okay? I'm going to utilize that board. We're not pulling those boards out. With that being said, the preamp's already hooked up. It's already wired. It's already wired. It's already on the switch. We'll see. I'm not making no promises. For you guys that love preamps, smart enough to get an external. Or if this one works, you can buy this amp. I guess by the time we're done, it's going to go for $800-900. So, and well worth it. This is going to crack about 1,500 watts of peak. Yeah. You're going to get a nice 1,500 watts of peak out of this amp cruising. Low drive, 2-watt deck heat, 35 watts of peak going in. This amplifier is going to serve you well. I am also going to utilize its meter. However, it says Eagle on it. I might have to do some skullduggery there. But we're going to utilize this meter. And what we're going to do is just kind of like what they did. It's really generic sniffer circuit. That's all it is. And just, it's a nice, and all these meters are for you guys that tune sweep tube amps with the meters that are on the front of them. Stop it. Use an external meter. This is a relative reading only. Okay, yeah, it's sweet. Yeah. Well, what you're going to find out is you start tuning these amps on an external meter for peak. You're going to notice that on this meter, if you tune it here, let's tune it with this first for what you think is peaked by that meter. Okay, cool. Now put it on an actual watt meter and check it. What you're going to find out is it ain't peaked. Once you peak it on an actual RF watt meter, what you're going to find is that this is just nowhere near what you thought it would be. So don't tune your amps with these. That's what watt meters are for. If you can't afford a coaxial dynamics or a bird, at least Black Cat. Black Cats are still around. You find them used. Dosey makes a pretty good one with a freak counter in it. But it's the best one, in my opinion, right now that is not a slug meter. MFJ makes one. I don't remember the model number of it. The next part of the video I will have it, and I'll tell you. But it's got a big meter. You guys have seen them. You guys are in the hobby. You know what I'm talking about. That's the best one for the money, without going full scale slug meter peak reading kit. And even when you get a slug meter, you got benches and 30 as usual, guys. When you get a peak, something like this, you're gonna spend, easily you're gonna tie $500, $600, $700, maybe $1,000, just by the time you get all your slugs, your peak reading kit in, and it needs to be calibrated by somebody with proper test equipment to calibrate it. This isn't somebody's put next to your freaking dosy and set the peaks on it. That's no. You have somebody who does calibrating on test equipment. Calibrate that piece of test equipment. This one's been set off. It's done. It's just been recalibrated actually. And we got a new slug. We got a new 1,000 watt slug. You'll find out sometimes these slugs go goofy. This is an expensive way to read RF, but it's a dastardly accurate way. And in my little hillbilly world, 409 stack radios. That's all my personal radios. Been a while, guys. I'm rambling on this video, but here, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring this back to life. We're gonna put a pair of metal ceramic tubes in there. We're gonna utilize as much as we can here, and come up with a really nice cruiser for somebody who wants a really nice cruiser. So hang tight. It's time for me to rip this thing apart, as much of it as I'm gonna rip apart, and we're gonna get on after it. For those of you who came back, checked out the video, there's gonna be a lot more. Sorry I've been gone so long, but we had to reconfigure a few things all the way around the world in the 409 land. So, but I'm back slowly. We're kicking back in. We are not taking in repairs like we used to. We do not do repairs per se anymore. What we will do, you got a Cobra 2000, you got an old Saturn, whatever. Don't send it to me saying it needs an alignment. We don't do alignments, number one, unless it comes with a basic restoration. If your 2000 drops out its sidebands, fine, you can send it to us. We'll repair that, but we're also going to have to go through the entire radio electronically. Otherwise, we do not want to mess with it. We've had too many go out, somebody send it out for this thing and transit back and forth, it gets all messed up, or the next part, the next component in the chain of the circuit that you repaired now has full current. Now it's going to fail. I'm not going through all that anymore, guys. I love working on your stuff, and you got to remember, this is a hobby here. This is not a business. This is a hobby, and we're not trying to fix a million radios and get everybody fixed. We're not trying to build them. We're trying to build cool ass stuff for people who appreciate cool ass things and don't mind paying the cool ass price we sell them at them for. We stand behind the stuff we build. There is no more repairs. Now, if you want something, you want a Super Duty conversion on 2000, that's fine. You send the radio to us, that's fine. We are going to have to inspect the entire radio. If the radio is not healthy, we will no longer put a 100-watt board in a 2000. There's no sense in me putting one in there when that draw is going to kill your receipt or kill your transmit line because the damn thing's weak. It's old. And power regulators dropping out, this and that. We will have to part of it. It's factored in the price that you guys would be paying for a Super Duty conversion these days. We're on revision 4 now. On a 2000 Super Duty conversion, it's now $425. However, you get a 2 pill. You go back to the YouTube channel, check it. You look up the Super Duty 2000. You'll see what a Super Duty 2000 is. You basically got a 2000 or 1000, whatever you want. You're gonna peak 100 watts. It's gonna be a lot better than that 20 watts. Everybody loves the Cobra 2000 the way it sounds, but then everybody gets their feelings hurt when they see it on a watt meter because it's only peaking 15, 18, maybe 20 on AM if you're lucky. So yeah, it's without making the radio work hard. We put those boards in there. It gets its own separate power supply. Go check out the Super Duty conversion if you're new to the channel, and it's a very nice conversion. You keep up with any 100-watt radio at that point, pretty much. Well, right now we're focusing on this. This is our first victim of the new series of, I don't know what we're gonna call it. This, Act 2. Act 1 is over, and I'm tired from it. We're gonna take this Eagle 500. We're gonna make it something worth having again, and something stable, daily cruiser. This ain't gonna be a fighting box. So those of you guys who are getting your mouths watering already, going, "Oh, he's back! I want to get down." If you're gonna use it to fight with, you're gonna get whooped. No, you're not gonna get whooped. It all depends on how you run your stuff. This is not gonna be intended for punch. This is gonna be intended for cruise. So this section done. Also, we are only going to be posting the videos for each unit after they are complete. We will not be posting in the middle section. It was cool before. You go and watch what he did this week. We're not doing that no more. We're going to get this. We're going to do it front to back, and there will be a episode for the Eagle 500. So you guys hang out, watch the channel. We're going to be back. If you're new, go back and watch all the old stuff, which is compared to what we're going to be cranking out for you now. That is pretty. Let's call it rude. I never played with video for it. Now we have a basic routine. Now we got all shot back in order. 47 radios that we took in the build. It took over 2 years to do. That's why we weren't taking any work. It's been a mess. So we're back. I'm working. This is gonna be our first victim. And hang out. We'll be back. See you guys. Thank you. All right. It's been a while, but we're back. Um, for those of you who have